All right. Hi, good evening, everybody. With me, Lourdes, Shrai, Luciana, Melissa. Thanks for being here. Thanks for being on time, and sorry for being late this time. I was here from the beginning, but I had some problems with a file. I had it on my computer, but I didn't transfer that to my laptop. All right. I use my laptop to work with the classes, but the thing is that I had to do some things before starting the class. All right. So sorry about that. Now, let's begin. We have to start in the last unit, right? The last set of contents toward the final essay. You know that the final essay is going to be handed in on Monday, right? Monday is going to be the day in which you hand in the final essay. And on Tuesday, if I'm not wrong, we're going to have the last conversation, and that's it, right? We finish A13 writing and reading in that way. Please, it's a good moment if you have some questions related to anything. Remember, well, I already Hello, hi once again. I got kicked up. I'm going to share my screen again. I hope that I have not this problem once again, but I was telling you, right? In case, please, you didn't receive the comments or you cannot see the comments, it's important that you let me know so that you can check those little details for the final essay, all right? All right, that's the first thing. Secondly, everything related to the final essay is already on the platform, and that's what we're going to check now, all right? I'm going to show you all the criteria. Please, most of you were able to follow all of those steps and everything, but few of you were not able to do it. It's important, please, that we pay attention then to this explanation, because this is what we need to do for the final essay. Okay, I'm going to please ask you, Lourdes, you're going to help me reading give me a second. There you go. All the information that we have here, please, Lourdes. Let's read everything we have there.
Okay, the argumentative essay must, number one, be written on Word format. Two, use all the punctuation rules that have been learned. Use at least 6 different transitional words, phrases. Use the structure in detail, introduction, body paragraph, and conclusion. All sentences in the correct order and following the criteria. Apply all the writing tips, active voice, concrete language, be concise, placement of words, no abbreviations or contractions, no repetition, no negative sentences, punctuation marks inside the quotes. And the last one have a total of 400 words.
Thank you very much, Whitney. If you have any questions, please let me know. Now we're going to read only the one criterion that is added to this rubric, all right? Because actually the 5 that you know already are the same. Only we have one extra that is related to the writing tips that we're going to learn today on Friday, okay? Do you have any questions about this? Please remember this part. we have to use this structure. All right, we have to use this structure. It means introduction, body paragraph, and conclusion, following the steps that we learned. You know, you have 3 steps in the conclusion, 5 steps in each body paragraph, and 3 steps. The 3 were in the introduction, right? And these 3 in the conclusion, right? So 3 introduction, 5 body paragraph, and 3 conclusion. You need to have those, all right, in that order and in the way we practiced in class. That is very important. So you can start actually working if you want today after class or when you have time, please, so that you don't do this perhaps on Sunday because it's going to take a little more time. Try to start working on that essay today because, you know, it has to be different. You can work on the same topic. Yes, you can still work on the same topic. If you want to have the same idea, it could be the same idea, more or less, but the essay has to be different, all right? It needs to be a different essay. Your thesis statement needs to be different because what you're going to be telling me in your body paragraphs, it's also something different, all right? So please, my advice is to start working as soon as you can, because actually you have all the tools to start working, all right? You know how to follow the punctuation rules, the transitional words, how to use them, you know the structure, right? That's the main thing. So you can yes, you can, let's say, use step 5 on the weekend or in the last part. It means that these are details that we're going to be learning this week, but it's not important to know these details to write the essay. So you can start writing the essay, and afterwards, you can apply these writing tips that are going to be some extra things to make your writing even better. Okay, just that. Now, we're going to read the only criteria that I'm adding. Remember, we still have spelling, that's 10 points, right? If you have two mistakes, it's still 10 points. Punctuation, remember, again, you can have 2 mistakes, it's still going to be 20 points. If you have more, you're going to have less, right? Transitional words, please don't forget. I think one person still forgot to use these transitional words. Remember that this is still a thing, so you need at least 6, right? Most of you, actually, all of you, right, except for one person, used this structure. More than 6 transitional words even. So please try to take that into account again, 6 transitional words, and they have to be different transitional words and phrases, right? The structure is still a thing, please. Only 2 people were not able to highlight or color the different steps. It's very important to do it because in that way, I really understand the way you're organizing your ideas, and I see that you're following the structure and you're following the same order, right, that we learned. It's very important that you can highlight or perhaps change the color of the letters, all right? You have those 2 options, either highlighting or changing the color of the letters. Whichever is better for you. Highlighting for me is better, but changing the color is also good, all right? There's no big difference related to that. Remember, if you don't follow 1 step, 2 steps, 3 steps, you're going to be losing some points. This time I accepted, right? Some of you were not able to complete, for example, the conclusion, or some of you only worked 1 body paragraph, right? It's okay because of the number of words. Now we have 400 words. It means that you're going to be able to write 2 body paragraphs and the complete conclusion, all right? So this time I'm going to take this into account as well. And the only one that we are adding for this final one is this one. I'm going to make some of you read just this part again. It's the same as in the introduction, but to have this in mind, please, this time it's going to be you, Sharai. Let's read everything that we have, please, only in this criterion. Excellent.
Sorry, I was my microphone off. The student applies all the writing tips: active voice, concrete language, being concise, right, placement of words, no abbreviations or contractions, no repetitions, no negative sentence, punctuation marks inside the quotes, and uses the new vocabulary.
Thank you very much, Sharai. And that's it, all right? You know that if you don't use or if you don't apply one of these tips, is going to affect the score, right? 1 is going to be 15. If you don't follow 2, it's going to be 10. If you don't follow 3, it's going to be 5, and so on and so forth. And the number of words is the same, 10 points for that, all right? This is the only new one, types for writing and vocabulary. So please, let's take that into account. You know, we've always been reading these in class so that you know what you have to do. You know, right, what I'm giving you 20 points or why I'm giving you 5 points only, because I mark that here, all right? I don't write the score, right? I don't type it. I only select the option, right? If you applied all the structures, I click here, and you're going to have those 20 points, right? That's the thing over here. Again, if you have any questions, let me know. These are the 6 criterion, or in general, the 6 criteria that we need to follow, all right? Spelling, punctuation, transitional words and phrases, the structure of the essay, tips for writing, it's going to be this week, and number of words. That's it, all right? We finish like that. Let me know, please, if you have any questions. Again, all of that information is already on Google Classroom. As always, you also have the 4-week activities, right? Over there, it's the same. 9 words for vocabulary and participating in these classwork units that we have. That's it. Please let me know if you have any questions. If not, we're going to continue practicing a little bit with the essay, the way we were doing it in the last class, before going to the details, all right, on the types for writing. Okay. Let's go there, and then we worked the first 2 paragraphs, if I'm not wrong, right? The introduction and the first body paragraph. Now we're going to work the second body paragraph, please. It's the same idea. I'm copying and pasting this in the right classwork file. The only thing you need to do is add the punctuation that is needed. If you're going to add a period, please remember to change that to capital letter if necessary, or make all the changes that you believe are important to do. All right, so please, I'm doing the same. All of you are going to have this new body paragraph to start editing that one. If you have any questions related to this assignment, let me know. We only have 2 left, all right? This body paragraph and the conclusion. And then we're going to go with a new topic. Just in case, I'm sharing the link. Some of you are not here yet. So, give me 1 second. All right, there you go. So the link is in the chat as well. Go there, find your name, and let's start modifying the last paragraph, please. Only the last paragraph. Let's give ourselves 5 minutes. All right, 5 minutes, 6:28, and we are going to check everything at 6:28. All right, we're going to start taking a look. Again, this is something to practice to reinforce the knowledge you have related to punctuation. Again, right, some of you are using this in a great way already. Remember that we have many ways of writing things. You have at least always 2 or 3 options, right? There are always at least 2 or 3. Sometimes it's clear when it's only one, but it's a very few cases, mostly with commas, right? For example, if you have more than 3 items, you have to use a comma, right? On the third item, there is no other option over there, right? So there are a few things in which you have only one possible option. But in most of the cases, you were able to notice that you can use comma, you can use semicolon, you can use period, you can use dashes, right? There are a lot of options over there. So I'm going to start again asking some of you, and you just need to tell me why you believe that was the best option for you on that case. Please, let's start with you once again, Sharai. And the first idea that you have, and also this one over here, professionally speaking, and on the top of that, why are you using those punctuation marks over there, Sharai?
Well, the first phrase, it's an introductory phrase, so I use the comma. And then when in professionally speaking, because it's an interrupter phrase, I think, so I need to use commas or dashes, I think, but I don't know if the use of comma it's correct.
Good, very good. We're going to see, but actually, yes, if you used commas, because it's a parenthetical phrase or an interrupter, it means that you also have the option of using dashes, right? M dashes, but both are correct. Unless you are using too many commas, then it's right. It's preferable to use M dashes. But if not, it's okay working with commas. Great, thank you, Sharai. The next one is going to be for you, Lourdes, right? In your case, you're using M dashes over there. We're going to see. Sometimes perhaps we can avoid that. Let's see if the author took that into account. But anyway, for you, please, Lourdes, tell me, why did you use exemplifying with that punctuation mark over there? And this one over here, why did you decide to use a period over there?
Okay, in the first part, I decided to put a period and a comma because this author is exemplifying something. So the first word is like an introductory phrase, like a connector, and we need to use a comma after that. Then the second period, I'm not too sure. I think that it's because the idea it's over, and it's trying to reverse that idea with the next sentence, but I'm not too sure.
Thank you very much, Lourdes. Good. Yes, I totally agree with this one. We're going to see what the author did. On this one, we're going to see this could be, all right, it's possible, but this word is making this very difficult, Lourdes, in this case. That's S. If we didn't have that word over there, perhaps it would be easier to make the decision, right? And say, okay, I'm going to use a period or a semicolon there. Then this person is able, it's a subject, a verb, and so on and so forth, right? But as we have something as this word, remember that as is very similar to a transitional. Sorry, if you have questions, just let me know, please. So it's very similar to a transitional word, right? It's a connector. It's going to work, as is going to work in the same way as because, since, right? We can use as, because, and since. And it's very hard, actually, and I don't have in mind actually one situation, perhaps it is, but in which we're going to find this word at the end of the sentence, all right, of the idea. And just because of that, because it's very odd, all right, it's very odd, it's very likely that in this case, we are not going to divide these two ideas. We're going to see, but again, it's very unlikely to set a period after the word as most of the cases is going to be used as connecting two ideas, all right, two clauses, let's say. We're going to see, all right? Thank you very much, Lourdes. And I'm going to finish this time with you, Melissa. Please, you're going to tell me this part. Why did you, or yes, why you decided to use a period over here and a semicolon over here?
Okay, I use period in the first idea because I think that's the end of the idea, and the complementary part or the explanation was starting since never, and I use semicolon in the last one because it didn't make sense to me to leave it without a punctuation mark. And for me, the sentence ends after my partner was promoted to manager. I think that for it would be like a fanboy instead of because, and that's why I use the semicolon before that.
Thank you very much, Melissa. Great. Yes, I agree with you. The only thing is that for perfect, the logic was perfect, all right? Never, yes, it's the introduction of a new idea. Period is the best option. Then you have for, and it's a fanboy. That's right. We're using here for not as a preposition, right? We're using for here as a coordinating conjunction, or as we call it, as a fanboy. And we know that with fanboys, we have two options. We can use either comma or semicolon. Remember that the most common thing to do is to use a comma only. I would say that in this case, if you realize, after the period, we don't have any commas. So it will be okay to use only a comma here. Remember that the semicolon with the fanboys, it's only going to be used when we have already too many commas in the same idea before and after the fanboy. But as this new idea is started with never, right? After never, until for, and after for until interest, right, is the idea that we have two ideas and we don't have too many commas over there. Then for me, the best option would be a comma for that reason. But again, it's not incorrect to use a semicolon because it's also possible to use it with a fanboys, right? Good. Now I'm going to copy and paste the answer. Please give me a second. Actually, I'm going to stop sharing because we have one more so that we can see afterwards the results. But I'm going to copy and I'm going to paste the exact idea, all right, from the original essay. It's going to be on the top of this assignment, right? Please give me a second. I'm copying and pasting this. All right. But yes, it was great. All right, I can tell you in advance that the only thing is the part in which we're using that word, right? As, but you're going to see what in what way it was done by the author. So I'm copying and pasting this right now. There you go. Let me share this again. There you go. So you have everything in order over here, right? On the top of the essay. So there you go. This is the way it was written. So on the top of that, good, with a comma, because that's a transitional phrase in this case, right? You have the idea and great. Professionally speaking, with commas or em dashes, right? It's okay. If you did it with commas, it's also okay because it's a parenthetical phrase, right? An interrupter, so it's good. Then exemplifying, please, this one, I think one of you didn't do it. After exemplifying, comma, right? Because this is going to be used as a transitional word as well. For example, comma, exemplifying, comma, to illustrate, comma, right? As a matter of fact, comma. As you can see here, this as is not used, right, to finish or to start a new idea. Actually, it's used to connect this very big idea, because if you realize, it's very big, it's a very long sentence, right? But that as is connecting in terms of reason, in terms of cause. the first idea with the next one. And with as, right, because and since, we are not going to use any commas, any punctuation marks, right? That's why it's too long and we don't have any commas. It's good because the rule says that we're not going to use punctuation marks, right, with those expressions. Then we have never, never, right, with a period. Good. This is an interesting expression. This word, all right, it doesn't matter if you know words like this. It's like surprised, right? Surprised. But this structure is interesting. If you get to the chance of using this in your essays, it's going to give you a lot of extra points because this is inversion. You can start a negative idea without using not and making the inversion. Never was I, all right? And that's a sentence, but it's inverted. And here, as you can see, yes, we are using punctuation mark, but we are using comma because of the reason I already mentioned, right? We don't have commas before, we don't have commas after. So the best punctuation mark for the fanboy, it's a comma. Only, right, in the case of having a lot of commas before or after this, it's advisable to use semicolon. But again, it's not considered a mistake. It's only the best option over here. That's it. And the last one, all right? This is the last one. This is the conclusion. Please, let's work on this last one. And we're going to go to the new topic over here. And there you go. All right, here's yours, Shai. Also, Lourdes, then Melissa, Mariana also is yours over here. Oh, sorry. There you go. Whitney and Luciana. Sorry. There you go. All right. There are some other mistakes. You're going to notice that. You can correct those mistakes. But again, the main things that we need to do here are punctuation marks. Let's work on that, please. All right, we're going to check at 6:44. Okay, we check that one. I'm going to work with some of you as well, and that's it with this lesson. All right, let's begin this one. I'm going to start with you this time. Let me see. You are here. Oh, I thought that Mariana was here. Then let's work with you here next, Whitney. All right, Whitney, let's read what you got. Please try to tell me why you use the punctuation mark over here, right? I think that the word is different over there and over here. These two, all right, to conclude and plus.
Okay, teacher, I think because it's a connect word and introduce word.
Okay, good. Yes, and sorry, Whitney, I forgot that one. Yes, correct, right? We have the introductory phrase or word, and we have also a transitional word over here. That's the true reason. And we could use, right? We could use a semicolon over here, but I think period works very well. Now it's going to be for you, Luciana. Let's say you only have one punctuation mark over there. All right, so let's analyze in your case, Luciana, just very quickly. Do you believe that you need other punctuation marks? What is the second one after to conclude that you can use? Just by giving a look at it, Luciana, what do you say? What is a second punctuation mark that you can use on this paragraph? All right, if not, I'm going to go up again. And I'm going to work with you. I don't know if you're there, Mariana. I think you're having some problems. Yes. Okay, yes. I think Mariana has been having a lot of problems with the internet. It's a shame. My internet is also working very, very bad. You know, that's the disadvantage, right? These kind of classes, but I hope that she can watch the class again. Well, then let's go back, please, up. And I'm working with you once again, please, Sharai. Let's try to tell me, all right, why you use, for example, these punctuation marks over here with to round off, and that's it. And why you believe that we don't need any more punctuation marks.
Okay, here I think it's like a final conclusion. And to round off, it's introductory phrase. For that reason, we use comma before that phrase. So that's the reason.
Thank you very much, Sharai. That's it, right? This was very short, but yes, that's it. I'm going to show you the answers directly because everything was covered with that. Only two things or a couple of things to work on, and it's over here. I'm just in case copying and pasting, but it's good that you have this here as well. So this is the last one, right? So yes, to conclude and comma, yeah, you got it very well. Plus, this can also work with a semicolon, as I said, but period works very good here because this is the first big idea with conclusion. This is the second big idea to add information, right? And finally, this is not with bold letter. Let me correct that one. There you go. Round off, right? Like the final detail that you need to add over here. Good. That's it. All right, that's it. Do you have any questions related to this? I think that most of you were able to understand this very, very well. Few mistakes were made. Mostly, right, I think the hardest for you was the first body paragraph because we had very, very large sentences, right? Remember this one? It's almost a 3-line sentence. And that's a lot. Having a 3-line sentence, it's very, very long, but it's possible because you can have subjects. I told you right that here, only this, right? Only that is the subject. All right, that's a subject. It's like, for example, Peter, right? Instead of Peter, you can say this. This is a subject. So you can work on complete ideas like this, but you need to be sure how to structure those ideas. If you put any idea in the subject, it's not going to work. You need to know very well how to work with phrases, with relative clauses, who, right? People, who, pam, 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 pam. So we're describing the kind of people here, and that's the subject. And then we have the verb. All of that was part of the relative clause. And when you work with relative clauses, you can have very, very long subjects. That's it, all right? Take that in mind, please. As you can see, we can use at least 1, 2, right? 3, 4, 5, 6, let's say 7, 8, and 9, 10, 11, right? At least 11 transitional words and phrases in only one essay. Try to work with the 6 that I'm asking. And of course, if you want to add more, you can do it. But that's it. I wanted to show you this to also give you some other ideas to work in your next essay. Remember, we're going to follow the same structure. This essay that you have here has a different structure, but I was telling, for example, Whitney Wright, or some of you that are interested in taking the TOEFL, you can take this structure into account as well, because this is more or less what you do when you're going to have the questions that you have in the TOEFL. That's it. If you don't have any questions or comments, we're going to start the last part of this course, which is going to be, well, it's going to be divided in 2 parts, right? Tips for writing, or to improve writing skills, and some vocabulary, extra vocabulary that we have. Sorry, I closed that one. These 2, all right? These are the 2 things that we're going to be working this week. Here, I'm going to show you very briefly. We're going to work with a lot of words that start with certain prefixes that you can use in your essays to avoid repetition, to avoid using negative sentences, because you're going to see that actually a very formal essay doesn't use negative sentences, all right? Instead of that, you're going to learn these words that are going to let you have an affirmative sentence giving a negative idea without using negative sentences, all right? And also, we're going to have some examples of synonyms. Why? Because remember that in this essay, I'm going to check repetition. It means that if you said important 1 time, all right, you shouldn't use the word important again in the essay. You have to use a different word. You cannot use important twice in the essay. If you say, for example, answer, you can say something different, right? So here we're going to see a list of important synonyms of very common verbs that you use on essays, so that you can use the synonyms instead of using the same word, all right? More than one. This is the second part. We're going to work this later on. The first thing that we're going to do is this. I'm going to show you first the summary. First, it's advisable to use active voice in this kind of essay, all right? Because it's stronger. That's the only reason. Passive voice is formal, sometimes more formal than active voice, but we are going to use active voice because it's stronger. Literal, concrete language, you're going to understand that one. Be concise, it means go straight to the point. If you can say one thing in one sentence and avoid saying more sentences in your essay, that's what you're going to do, right? Be careful with placement of words. You're going to see where to locate your ideas of time, of place, etc. Abbreviations, this is very important. We are not going to use contractions in the essay. Avoid repetition, this is what I was saying, right? That's why we're going to learn that vocabulary. This is also the other thing, right? No negative sentences, right? No negative form of sentences. Instead of that, we can use different words that give a negative idea, but the statement is still affirmative. No punctuation marks, right, outside the quotations. This is something I mentioned before. And this is something I'm not going to take into account, right? But sometimes they say, right, don't exaggerate in the sense that don't say things that are not real if you want to catch the reader's attention, right? Keep saying things that are logical and are true, right? That are real, right? Don't over-exaggerate things. That's the only thing. Let's just start. I'm going to start with passive voice. Please, Lourdes, you're going to help me with this part. Let's read everything that we have here, please.
Okay, number 1, use the active voice. The active voice is used when the subject of your sentence performs an action to a direct object. In other words, noun performing an action plus action or verb plus object receiving the action. The passive voice is used when the subject is the thing receiving the action and the thing doing the action appears as an indirect object near the end of the sentence. The formula for passive voice is noun receiving action plus action verb plus optional indirect object.
Thank you very much, Lourdes. So again, right, I told you, this is one thing, please. In this essay, at least the argumentative essay, we are not going to use passive voice. Perhaps we can use it once, but most of the time we're going to use active voice because it's stronger. We know who is performing the action. And actually that's the important part here, okay? Why? Because sometimes when we use passive voice, it's because we don't want to mention the agent, or the agent is not as important as the argumentative essay, all right, asks us to use real information, to use facts, evidence. It's important to show who is the performer, all right? That's the reason, all right? It's really important to know who's the agent, and it's important to have it on the first place because it gives, all right, that strength that this kind of essay needs. Now I'm going to ask you some questions, and I'm going to go for you, Whitney. Let's try with you. Can you try to give me an example of a passive voice sentence? Or no, sorry, not for you, Whitney. It's going to be for you, Melissa. All right, Melissa. One example of passive voice sentence, please, Melissa, in any tense, any context, any words that you want to use.
Sorry, my mic was up. It could be the car was driven by Luis.
Very good. Yes, that's correct. The car was driven by Luis. That is an example of a passive voice sentence, right? Why? Because first we have the noun receiving the action. What is the noun receiving the action? The car. What is the action, right? That it was driven. And what is the optional indirect object? It was driven by Luis, right? That is the agent. So you're putting more attention, all right? You're paying more attention into the action and into the object that is receiving the action instead of the agent. That's why argumentative essays don't prefer to use this kind of structure, because we need to put more emphasis, all right, on the agent. That's why we're going to use active voices. One would be, all right, so one more time. The sentence was, the car was driven by Luis. Sharai, what is the active voice of that sentence?
Luis drive the car. I don't remember very well the passive sentence.
Okay, don't worry, it's okay. Just one thing. What is the tense that Melissa, for example, is using when she's saying was driven? What is was? What tense is that?
Past.
Past, right? It's simple past. So it means that your main idea in the active voice, Sharai, needs to be in the same tense. So how would be the right sentence then in the active form?
Could be Luis drove a car.
Great. The car, that car, or a car, right? Correct. Luis drove a car or the car. Correct. Thank you, Sharai. So I'm making you practice that because in case you used passive voice in your essays, try to avoid that one and try to rethink that idea and use active voice. All right, that's the only thing I'm asking you here. Use active voice because it's stronger in this kind of essay. And again, I'm telling you this, it's not that passive voice is not formal, okay? Because passive voice, sometimes it's even more formal than active voice. But in this kind of essay, it's better to use active voice. Just that one. Let's try one extra thing. Luciana, are you there?
Yes, teacher.
All right. So, Luciana, can you give me one extra example of a sentence in the passive voice? For example, Melissa said, right, the car was driven by Luis. That is one example. What other example can you give us in the passive voice, Luciana? You can use this formula over here.
Teacher, can you repeat the example, please? I'm not sure if it's okay.
Of course, of course. First, I have to mention first, Luciana, the object that is receiving the action, right? For example, in this case, the car, all right? Then I need to say, what is the action? In the action, Luciana, you always need in passive voice the verb to be. It can be present, past, or future. In this case, Melissa was using the simple past of the verb to be. So the car was. After the verb to be, you need to give me a verb, and it's in the past participle, all right? For example, drive. What is the simple past of drive? Drove. And what is the past participle of drove? Driven, all right? So the car was driven, and then you can mention the agent if you want, Luciana, to mention the agent, right? I'm explaining like this because this is not part of the unit, but it's to review, right? You can use by, right? by, and the agent. For example, by Luis, by the government, by my friend. So once again, the car, the object, was driven, the action in passive voice, by Luis, the agent. All right, that is the example. What other example could you give me following that logic, Luciana?
The food was cooked by me.
Okay. The food was cooked, right? Past participle, good. The food was cooked by me. Yes, we can be used as objects, actually. It is correct, all right? Grammatically speaking, is correct. Thank you, Luciana. So the food was cooked by me, right? That is going to be for you, Lourdes. What is the active voice, right? The active voice form of that sentence.
Can you repeat the sentences, please?
Yes, of course. The sentence was, the food was cooked by me.
Okay. I cook the food.
Okay, good. Well, only one question. Is it going to be I cook the food or I cooked the food? Which one is it going to be the best?
I cooked.
Cooked,
with
right?
ed.
Exactly, ED, right? Great. Thank you very much, Lourdes. Now, I'm going to give you some examples myself, and you're going to tell me what's the active voice. This is just practicing. This is for you, Sharai. The passive voice is a new vaccine, all right, has been created by Brazil. Okay, Sharai, a new vaccine has been created by Brazil. How can you change that to active voice, Sharai?
Okay, the active voice could be Brazil has been created, then a new vaccine, or just
Yes, if you say has been created, it means that it's passive voice, all right? You don't need to use the verb to be with the main verb. You only need the tense, present perfect, very good. And after the tense, you need directly the main verb. And what is the main verb? It's not the verb to be, it's the verb to create, right? So once again, please, Sharai, how would it be?
Brazil create a new vaccine. Created.
But in the tense, right? The tense was okay. The tense was okay because you said has, right? You said has been. Has is okay, Been is not okay because that's the verb to be. We don't need been. Instead of been, conjugate the verb create in that tense, in the present perfect. How would it be?
Okay, so could be Brazil has created a new vaccine.
Correct. Very good. Exactly. You always need to keep the same tense that is being used with the verb to be. All right. If you hear in the passive voice has been, have been, it means that you're going to use present perfect in the active voice. But you are not going to use the verb to be. You take away, all right, you drop off the verb to be and you use the main verb. So the thing that you said is correct, Jared. Brazil has created a new vaccine. All right, Brazil has created a new vaccine. Great. This one is for you, please. Yes, Melissa, this is for you. All right. The new book will be written by that famous author. All right. The new book will be written by that famous author. How would it be the active voice of that one, Melissa?
That famous author will write the new book.
Correct? Exactly. Thank you very much. Correct, right? That famous author will write the book, right? Or that book. That's it, or the new book. It means that if we're using future, again, the only thing we do is conjugate the tense with the main verb. In this case, it was written, but with will, we need the base form, right? So instead of written, we're going to say write, will write. Good. That's it, all right? That is it. Have that in mind, please. It's important that you know how to make the change from active voice, from passive voice to active voice in case you find yourselves, all right, in front of a passive voice sentence. Because remember that this is going to be evaluated. If you have active voice in your essays, it's going to be perfect. If we have a passive voice, just because of this, again, it's not incorrect, but because of this practice, please don't write any sentence in passive voice, just because of this practice, okay? That is the first part. We have a second one. Again, if you need something, you're going to let me know, all right? If you have any questions, you can interrupt the class, let me know, raise your hand, or make a comment on the chat, all right? It's better if you turn on your microphone and let me know. This is the second step. You know the first one, please. No passive voice, only active voice because it's stronger. Step two, this is a lot, so I'm going to divide this into parts. The first part is going to be for you, please. Luciana, let's read this part, please, the first point.
Por favor. Okay, use literal and concrete language. Say flowery and abstract language for works of fiction. Yeah. When writing a persuasive essay, you want to make sure you use very clear and direct language. This requires excluding any metaphors and smiles, and signs, alliterations, hyperboles, litotes, and other literary techniques. You want your writing to be easily understood in a quick read, though abstract language slows down the reader and makes your writing less successful. Instead of trying to create a literary masterpiece, concentrate your attention on concrete examples that support your argument.
Thank you very much, Luciana. Again, I don't need you to understand this very well because even I don't know how to use this very well because this is for people, right, who are dedicated to writing books, but fictional books, all right, or novels, okay? But take into account the following. All of these are a kind of metaphor or ways of writing that are not concrete. They are very abstract. That's why it's for different kind of books and different kinds of writings. For the persuasive essay, or again, the argumentative essay, we do not need this kind of language, all right? I know because of your essays that you are not working this way, but just in case, please, let's try not to use too many metaphors and let's go straight to the point. All right, language that is clear for the reader, right? The clearer, the better in this case. That's it. And the second part, please, it's going to be for you, Sharai. Let's read this part, please.
Okay. Also avoid using vague language. You do not want to say something like, I'm great at a variety of things. Broad statements like this will leave the reader wondering, what things? What qualifies you as great? Rather, you should use concrete as and specific language. Write something closer to, I received the MVP award from my basketball team 3 years in a row, which unquestionably demonstrates your achievement.
Thank you very much, Sharai. Again, so the first part, don't use too many metaphors, right? Go straight to the point, clear language, right? Don't use language that is going to create confusion on the reader. Secondly, avoid vague language. What is the meaning of that? It means that if you want to say that technology has many advantages, right? Let's not say that. Let's not say, right? And I think that using technology, right, at school is the best option because of many reasons. If you say because of many reasons, that is vague, all right? So we need to change that to something more specific, right? So I believe that is the best idea to use technology at schools because, right, it helps students to be in contact with teachers and it helps the students to have access to material, right, immediately. So in that way, I'm not saying because of many reasons, I'm saying the real reasons. That is the thing over here, all right? So please avoid saying those things, a variety of things, or because of many reasons, all right? Try not to give vague information. Try to mention that information and go straight to the point. Say what you want to say and don't save that for later. Of course, you're going to give more details, for example, in the body paragraphs, but you just can mention the things that you're going to talk about. That's it. Do you have any questions about this part? Again, the only thing that this part is asking you to do is not to use metaphors, use clear language, and don't use vague language as well. Try to mention the things that you want to mention, and don't say things that are not clear in the sense of what are many things, right? How many things are those many things, right? Try to mention those things again instead of just using those expressions. That's it. Any questions about this? Let me know. Again, this is going to be mainly to try to improve our writing, all right, skills, to try to improve our essays. And you're going to apply this. We're going to see at least 1 or 2 more steps, and we're going to go to the writing that we have, and you're going to tell me what are the things that we need to correct over there. The next part, step 3, be concise. This is going to be for you this time. Melissa, let's read please step 3.
Okay, step 3, be concise. Wordy sentences are hard to follow. We recommend not including any sentences that are longer than 2 lines in your essays. As a rule of thumb, never say in 10 words what you can say in 5. This rule is applicable to paragraph length as well. Of course, 1 sentence is not necessarily better than 4, but make sure that every sentence says something significant. Do not use any filler sentences. College admissions officers can detect BS instantly. They see it all the time.
Thank you very much, Melissa. All right, this information was taken from advice that you received from many colleges and universities because you were able to see, right, that you need to write essays, right, application essays to get into US or UK universities. So those universities give you this kind of advice in which, right, they are going to transmit the knowledge they have and what they want you to avoid in these essays. One of those things is to be concise. And here, by reading this, you already know that the essay that we were working mistakes just related to this, right? So be concise. I showed you that you can have very long sentences, right? 3-line sentences. But as you can see over here, it's not advisable. Why? Because as you were able to see, when you were correcting the first body paragraph, it was confusing because you wanted to set a period, right? You didn't know where the sentence was finishing. So grammatically speaking, the sentence was correct, but it's not advisable because the reader can get lost on that sentence. Just that one, all right? That is number 3 about. Don't give me too long, all right, of a sentence. Try to summarize and give me the main information only. That's it, all right? That's step 3. Let's go to step 4. This is going to be for you, Lourdes, please.
Okay, be careful with placement of descriptive words and phrases. Make sure that you place adjectives and describe phrases as close to the noun that they modify as possible. Otherwise, your writing can be difficult to read or the meaning of the text can be misconstrued. Make a look at these examples. I will be applying to the University of Pennsylvania in the fall. In the fall, I will be applying to the University of Pennsylvania. As you can see in the first example, the descriptive phrase in the fall seems like it belongs to the University of Pennsylvania. University of Pennsylvania is not a seasonal school. In the fall describes when the action will be performed, not when a school is in session. It is much better to place in the fall closer to the verb that it modifies, applying as shown in the second example, rather than after the prepositional phrase.
Thank you very much, Lourdes. So this is what we also know as introductory phrases, right? And what is this, in other words? Is the information that you have in your sentence. Sometimes you can use this information at the end of the sentence. But again, if the sentence is too long, it's going to be confusing. That's why some people, and according to this advice, it's better to use these ideas at the beginning to have them close to the subject and to the verb. In that way, the idea of in the fall, it's important. If you put it, all right, if you place it close to the verb and close to the subject. And also it's easier for the reader to understand that this expression is going to be connected to that action, right? Just this one. So the first one actually is the best option in English. If you write like in the first example over here, like in this one, this is the best thing that you can do in English because this is the right order, all right? This is the standard order in English. But in essays and in this kind of writing or write papers, you need to change that a little bit in order to make the reader, right, understand this idea in a better way. That's the only purpose, all right? The best option is the first one, but I'm going to ask you, please, in this essay, to use the second option as much as you can. Okay, so it's what you're doing, to use introductory phrases, to use interrupters. That's what you do, all right? That's what you do. And in an indirect way, you are working with the placement of descriptive words and phrases. So keep working that way. Just remember that when you change that to the first part, you need a comma, right? This is very, very important. I told you, right, that many times. Use a comma anytime that you are using a phrase that is not in the right place. If it's not in the right place, you're always going to need punctuation. For example, comma over here. That's it, okay? That's it. Now, we have a lot of steps. We're going to work one more before going to some details, and we're going to work on an exercise with you. Let's go to that next one, please. There you go, contractions. It's Sharai, let's go and let's read this one with you.
Okay, step 5, do not use abbreviations or contractions. This rule is important in any piece of professional writing. Contractions are only appropriate for conversational language and come off as lazy informal writing. Similarly, abbreviations are often unclear. Not everyone knows what CCC stands for.
Thank you very much, Sharai. So this is clear, all right? It sounds like radical, but again, if you want a very, very formal essay, do not use abbreviations and do not use contractions. Okay? If you want, you can give the clarification in parentheses. For example, I think it was Whitney's, right? And in Whitney's essay, she mentioned the American Association, something similar to the psychologist or psychiatrist. I don't remember very well, but it was the APA, all right, the APA. But she mentioned the entire name, right? And then the only the abbreviation, let's say. But please, if you have the chance, don't work with abbreviations. Directly mention what you want to say, and also contractions. It means that we're not going to be using it's, right? We're going to say it is. We're not going to use don't, right? Even you're going to see that we're not going to use negative ideas, but instead of don't, you should use do not, right? So no contractions and no abbreviations. I think this is clear. Now, to practice this a little bit, what we're going to do is the following. Please, here, we're going to work only in this essay, or in the essay that I gave you. It's already there on the first part. So please, each of you is going to correct one part, or I'm going to divide in a different way, all right? Because the first body paragraph is longer. So please, Lourdes, you're going to correct this part, all right? These lines. Up to that part, please, Lourdes, it's going to be in orange, kind of orange, all right? That's yours, Lourdes. The next one, this part is going to be for you, Sharai. It's going to be kind of green. That's yours, Sharai. Melissa, you're going to work with the second, okay, second body paragraph. Yours is with kind of blue. And I have no more people. Then please, if it's possible for you, Whitney, try to work with the conclusion. And again, this kind of purple that you have over there. Well, it's a different color now. All right, those ones, please. Again, the first one, Lourdes. The green one, the second part is for you, Sharai. The blue one is for you, Melissa. And the last one, the conclusion for you, Whitney. What you need to do is, following these steps, try to identify what mistakes do we have on that essay. First, active voice, all right? If we have active voice, just try to mark it, and you can write a comment if you want, okay? Active voice. Literal and concrete language. If you find a word that is too complicated for readers, mark it, all right? Mark that word, and we're going to see what other word would be better in that case. Be concise. If we have long, very long ideas, right? Longer than 2 lines, mark that, and you can write be concise. Then you have placement of descriptive words and phrases. If the idea is too long and you believe that the idea can be divided, or we can have an important phrase at the beginning of that idea, mark step 4, right? Placement of descriptive words. And finally, if you find abbreviations or contractions as well, mark them and let me know. All right, that is the thing we need to do, please. Lourdes, Sharai, Melissa, Whitney, let's work with that. And we're going to check. Please, let's give ourselves 3 minutes, all right, or maximum 5. 7:30, I'm going to start checking maximum this one. All right, if I see that you finished before, I'm going to start. Also, one thing, please, if you finish yours, because sometimes you don't have a lot of information there or the words were better organized. If you finished, try to take a look at other, all right, of the paragraphs that you have. So in case your partner was not able to identify something, you are going to do it, all right? And you're going to tell me, but I think this is not correct, okay? So in case you finish your part, try to take a look at the entire essay. Don't mark, all right, what is not yours, but try to have in mind what words you can mention in case your partner is not going to mention that one, okay? Just that one. Continue, please. Okay, we're going to start doing this. And actually what we're going to do, sorry, is that you're going to read what you were supposed to work on. You finish reading and you're going to tell me, or actually, as you read, you stop and you tell me this is a mistake. All right, because of this and that. So let's begin with you, please, Lourdes. Let's read your part and you stop whenever you feel that it's a mistake or something is not good.
Okay. To have broad knowledge of many academic subjects allows one to be better prepared when we need to solve a problem in any field is required, and it is very common. Furthermore, this wide variety of information makes a person grow intellectually and professionally. Accordingly, it's better to have broad knowledge of many academic subjects. There is a mistake that uh, it's a rebate, so it is better to have.
Good.
Then, sorry, then it's undeniable that everybody needs to acquire a minimum amount of knowledge regarding general academic subjects. There is the same mistake that he writes it, and it should be it is. For society demands us to be ready when facing a new. I think that those only the mistakes that I could find, because I think that everything is very clear and it's concise.
Okay, good. In that word, remember, it's going to be concise, right? Concise. Good.
Sorry.
Very good. Great. Yes, I agree with you, Lourdes. I think that we're not using, these complex or abstract words over here, only those two contractions, right? We're going to call those contractions. Abbreviations are going to be when you're going to say something like the CC, right? We work with those kind of things, or only, for example, apps instead of abstract, right? So in this case, these are going to be contractions. And yes, they are considered in quotation marks, right, mistakes, because it's not formal in this kind of essay. Good. Thank you very much, Lourdes. Let's continue with you. This part was yours, right, Sharai? Let's continue reading, please, from problem until the last part, and you stop anytime you feel that there's a mistake.
Okay. Problem or even daily life situation. As a matter of fact, people who have developed skills in various fields of study and have acquired knowledge in many subjects are more successful when solving a problem due to the fact that they can think of many possible solutions by themselves and from different perspectives. According to apocalyptic hearsay, well, I think that here we have a complex phrase, so I think that we can change for anything for some phrase more easily. Well, continuing is focusing on one specific subject creates a boundary between that person and the huge amount of other possible perspectives that are not taken into account, and it is for sure limits enormously the problem-solving skills that each individual possesses. Well, in this paragraph, I have subject, perspective, and skills that are writing twice. So I think that we could change those two.
Very good.
That's
Great.
all the that I found.
Perfect. Thank you, Sharai. Great, great. I mentioned that before, right? In the first 5 steps, I think we don't have that yet, but it's great that you were able to identify that, Sharai. Good. It's advisable that we don't use more than once, right? I mean, the words that we use. So yes, you're correct. Skills, we have twice. Developed skills, problem-solving skills, right? Let's look for a different word, right? Not skills. Perspectives as well, as you were able to identify there, and also subjects. Sometimes it's hard to find a synonym of a specific words. If we see that that's the case, we're not going to change, but it's good that we can identify those ones. Now, I have one question for you, Sharai, in this one. What about this step? All right, we're going to finish in a moment. It says be concise, right? To be concise. It says, right, as a rule, right, of a thumb, never say in 10 words what you can say in 5. And then before that, right, we recommend not including any sentences that are longer than 2 lines in your essays. So reading that once again, Sharai, do you believe that you have this problem in this part of the essay? What do you
Yes,
say?
in that here, people who have developed the skills and all these sentence, maybe we could reduce the subject, but I think that it is necessary to explain those details in this sentence.
Mhm.
But
Good.
it is a problem also on this
Correct.
essay.
Exactly. And yes, and actually that's the point, right? In which we can say this is a mistake because this person is not being concise. But as you're also saying, Sharai, the information that is describing people, what kind of people, it's also very important. But there's always a way to find a better solution. Perhaps this person can divide that in 2 ideas. First, try to explain the kind of person, right? People are like this, like that, period or semicolon, and then give an extra description related to that kind of people, right? That's an option, but yes, it is considered a mistake because of that rule, and it can be done in a different way. But if it's only one time that it happens and the rest of the essay it's okay, it's going to be all right, it's going to be good, no problems. But let's try to avoid in our essays, just for this time, all right, just for this time and for Monday, let's try not to have sentences that are longer than 2 lines. But that's good. I agree also with this part. We should use simpler words, right? This word, come on, all right? We're not trying to understand that one. It's enough if we have a simple word to understand that one. Thank you, Sharai. We're going to finish 4 minutes. In these 4 minutes, please, let's work this one with you, Melissa, on the top.
Okay, on the top of that, it has to be acknowledged that one has an advantage, professionally speaking, when possessing a broad amount of knowledge in today's workplace. Exemplifying, it's enough to mention that a person who has knowledge, I mark that from here because after the first time that it mentions that word, it's repeated 3 times in the same paragraph. Of many subjects, is more likely to get promoted as this person is able to do a better job by merging all that knowledge into great ideas. Sorry, after exemplifying, it said it's enough to mention, and I marked that because it's a contraction. Where was I? Okay, by merging all that knowledge into great ideas, never was I more flabbergasted. I marked that because same as Sharai, I think it's a difficult word, but you said that that could give us some points in academic essays. So I'm not sure, but I marked it anyways. Then the day that my partner was promoted to manager, for he had some knowledge of something that was our boss's interest.
Thank you very much, Melissa. Good, great job. I agree with you in all of these ones. And yes, the thing with that one is that it's kind of, let's say, paradoxical, right? Why? Because sometimes, right, it's considered that those kind of words are going to be confusing, too complex for the reader. But what you have to take into account in this case, it's who is going to be the reader. All right. So if you know that your essay is going to be for someone who is an expert in the language, and that person is going to be expecting, right, something clear from you, all right, but also to use a vocabulary that shows that you know English very well, so well that you can use complex vocabulary, do it. But in general essays, of course, an essay is always going to be for an expert, right? That's the thing. It's always going to be for an expert. But sometimes you need to think, right, in a more simple way. And in this case, just for this, again, we're talking about this essay for Monday. For this essay, we're going to try to follow this advice. Why? Because it's going to be really important to take into account that sometimes, right, anybody can read this essay, and to avoid confusion, and perhaps we are using the word incorrectly, to avoid that and to avoid all that confusion from your part and from part of the reader, is better to avoid that kind of, or those kind of words, let's say. It gives you extra points if you use complex words, if you know how to use them, but let's not do that every time, so that, let's say, the entire paragraph or the entire idea, it's full of complex words and metaphors, and it's going to make kind of impossible to understand, even for an expert, all right? Just for in this case, because I want you to take this into account, we're going to be radical, all right? And we're not going to use these kind of words, all right, just for this essay. But on an essay that you're going to work in an international test, let's say, if you're sure of how you're going to use these words, and you use them in specific and key parts of your essay, right, that are not going to create confusion, do it. But let's not fill that out, right? Let's not fill your essay out with only those kind of words. That would be the thing I can say, all right? So for this Monday, let's avoid that. So this analysis is great. Apocryphal, right, and flabbergasted are going to be words that we're going to avoid. And finally, all right, in the case of Whitney, I have here marked the contraction, it'll, right? We don't do that. It will help. Long could be, right? In this case, this is still a two-line, right? So it's inside the parameters. If it's in a two-line sentence, it's okay. If we find a better way to do it shorter, then let's do it, all right? It's still inside the parameter, but yes, it can be considered long. Then active voice, good, great. We have here passive voice. That's something that Whitney recognized, so we should use active voice, perfect. And that's it. Here also, right, this is also contraction. This is also a mistake. So instead of I'd like, we have to say I would like, right? I would like to say that, bam, 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 bam. That's it. Let's finish here, please. I think we were able to work these very, very well. We only have 6. This is what you did already, but we're going to read it next class. Repetition, a negative statement. This is really, really important, right? And really interesting. And punctuation marks, all right? Exaggeration, we're also going to learn that. After that, we're going to talk about vocabulary, and you're going to learn how to avoid negative sentences and how to avoid repetition with some vocabulary that we're going to learn. That's it. Do you have any questions? Let me know, please. It's important, again, that you can start working on your essays as soon as you can. If you can start today, try to do it, please, because you know you have the structure already. What we're learning now, it's only extra things to improve your skills. That's it. I'm sending the poll, as always. Please fill it out. And with that, we're finishing today's class. Give me please a second. You know that it sometimes takes. Okay, there you go. Fill it out. That's it. Have a great night. Thanks for being here. And I'll see you tomorrow in the reading session. All right. Bye-bye.
Bye, teacher. Thank you.
Bye-bye. You're welcome.
Teacher.
See you. Good night. See you. Bye-bye.
Sorry, teacher, I have a problem filling the poll. I don't know if you could send again, please.
Yes, of course. Of course. Give me 1 second, please, Sharai. I'm going to save this one. And I'm going to resend it. Give me please 1 second. 13. There you go. And relaunch. Good, there you go. Can you see it now?
Yes, teacher, I can see.
Okay, very good.
I don't know what's happening, teacher. It's charging because it appears a phrase. It says waiting. So
That's weird. Let me end the poll. I'm going to, do you still see that message?
yes, I sent, but first it says that there is a mistake sending the poll. Then I'll send again, and it is too slow because it appears waiting.
That's weird. Give me please, or can you try to leave the class and try to enter again, please, Sharai?
Okay, teacher, I will do that.
Great. All right, I'm going to try to send it once again. Let's see if it works.
Okay.
There you go.
Oh, it's done, teacher.
Now it's on. Okay, perfect. Thank you very much, Sharai. I'll see you tomorrow. Have a good night.
Good night, teacher. See you.
Bye-bye.